My gosh, I can do two things at once. I was dancing and I turned the thing off. Here we are
You're getting
today.
more and more talented.
Yeah, I know. We're talking again. Watch out. We're at the Crystal Clear Point Studios with Lulu Morris and Dr. Matthew Pearson. I'm Deborah Colleen Rose, and we actually planned ahead today.
No.
It's only taken us a year to get here. Oh, I rhymed and didn't know it. Luann, tell them what we're talking about today. Oh
I
my
already
God.
forgot.
No, you didn't.
Well, I don't know. Maybe she's having a moment that, like, kind of like I did yesterday when you announced the topic. Okay. We're talking about relationships, right? And what makes a good relationship, or how to know that you're in a good relationship.
I know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Matthew like had a meltdown. I'm like, what the hell?
Yesterday was a real hard day for me. I mean, I'll just gonna be honest with you. I was at an event yesterday, and I was just confronted with a lot of some past relationships. Actually, one in particular, because the person that was sitting in front of me for the reading was going through the exact same thing that I went through inside of this relationship. So I got very, very triggered. I mean, in fact, I even offered the person to, the money back to, make sure that, it was like, I'm sorry, I couldn't read for you. And he's like, no, no, no. He's just like, you did a lot for me. But it just really triggered me. And so when, the topic of relationships came up, that was the only thing that I could focus on. It was just like, are you kidding me? You know? So
If this was a situational comedy, what he would have said to you is that, oh no, you did a lot for me because you showed me that I don't want to be a wreck like you and I have to go get therapy.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
the circumstances were a little different, but I mean, it was the same thing. I mean, he was his husband was here in the United States, and he was actually from uh, I cannot remember. I think it was Venezuela. And he wanted to come to United States, and he was going through the whole channels and the process and everything else like that, and got to the point where, I mean, he's like right on the verge of like his green card, and his husband started freaking out.
Oh,
And it was just like, yeah, he wants to leave. He wants to, do this. He wants to do that. And the question I had to ask, it was like, well, are you two in love? Or is this just more of a benefit for him, to be here? It's like, where does that leave you? So, and so he's like, no, I get it. And so I mean, I talked him through the process that I went through, and from there he said I helped him a lot. So I guess I did okay. Well, he didn't accept the money back, so I guess I'm
well, it
okay.
sounds like you did. And you, I think probably if I'm going to hallucinate like I like to do so often, is that what you did is you validated that his circumstances could happen to anybody and he wasn't
Yeah.
being a fool or doing something foolish. I think nine times out of ten, when we're in difficult situations, they say misery loves company. I don't think misery loves company. We just like to know we're not the most miserable one. Yeah. And that we haven't done something that's totally outrageous and silly and stupid. We like to be reaffirmed that we're just human, I guess is what
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Well, I mean, I
So,
guess,
Just like everybody else.
yeah.
well, I won't go that far, especially especially with this crew. We're not like everybody else. We're
No, we're
special.
definitely not.
We're special. All right, so I sent this article to Luann and Matthew. I guess it was yesterday because
Mhm.
I like to be spontaneous, but I have found that sometimes when we're too spontaneous, all we do is go down rabbit holes, which I enjoy doing, but maybe other people don't. And just because we plan things doesn't mean I won't go down the rabbit hole anyway. So
Yeah. I think
I'm
it's almost a
torn.
certainty for us that we're going to go down a rabbit hole of some sort somewhere in the conversation.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like torn like an old sweater. Do we want to be professional or do we just want to fly by the seat of our pants? So I'm like, what the hell? Why pick? Just go with the
Yeah.
flow for the day. So, but anyway, I thought this article was interesting because at on surface level, you're like, oh, this is so good, spot
Mm.
on. Really? And then you're like, who the hell does this? Especially the majority of the time.
Yeah.
So there are like 10 things on their list, and I even have a prop for today. The first one on the list is RESPECT, respect. And look, I brought Aretha with me.
Okay.
I wish we could play the song but we can't because of, copyright
Yeah, take
shit.
the right and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. RESPECT, don't you know that means to me?
God don't sing, please.
Okay, I won't sing. So anyway, respect. I mean, I think that's an interesting word. And, we use words to communicate, but what if it means something different to you than it means to me?
That's very true. I mean, because we all have different backgrounds and so on and so forth. So I know that, especially having a husband that was from, a different culture altogether. Okay, some of the stuff that he would say, he wouldn't feel disrespectful, but I felt totally disrespected. So there were times that I had to go, what do you mean by that? So I totally agree that it's a matter of perspective sometimes what respect is.
Luann, I get accused of being disrespectful a lot of times because I make inappropriate jokes and things of that nature. And you're probably one of the people that's the closest to me that's not, part of my marriage and my family. Do you think I'm often disrespectful?
Well,
Who's that
see,
question going to?
huh?
Huh?
Who are you asking that question to?
I'm asking Luann. I'm not asking you. The hell with
Oh,
you. No.
okay. See how much respect I get, folks.
Oh
See
my
how much
God.
respect I get.
No, I'm asking Luann because Luann, I would say, is let me define Luann in my mind. In my mind, Luann is probably the most sensitive of the three of us, but she's also the most practical about her sensitivity, if that makes sense.
Makes
You
total
know,
sense.
she's willing to own it and also analyze it, take it out and play with it, put it back in the box, you know, and she's very mature. Not that you're not, I'm not saying that, but this is how she and I interact. And we have a level of honesty that would kill most people, I think.
Well, I think people take some of your sarcasm as being um, disrespectful.
Yeah, I
They
think
they
that's true.
don't understand your the what you think is funny
I think
because that
everything's, I do. I can find humor everywhere. That
because
doesn't
that's
mean
what
I don't see the seriousness of things, though.
but that's what I've been told in the past. I use my sarcasm as a deflection on what's going on, and people go, "Well, you're just rude. What's wrong with you?" I said, "That was supposed to be funny." Well, it's not funny.
Well, see, and I
So,
think that's rude. I think that's rude. I mean, just because they don't think it's funny doesn't mean it's not funny. Maybe they don't have a sense of humor, number one. Number two, maybe that's us processing it and we just don't hold everything in our head. We have to process it out loud. I have to hear the words sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I'm in my head so much. It's kind of funny that we're talking about this because this is what's on my shirt. Thou shalt not try me.
well,
So,
Well, respect is like I said, I believe that it's, inside of the relationship, it's really dependent. I've been in a relationship that, we called each other queer boy, and we had friends over and they're like, why are you doing that? Why are you saying that? And to us, it was just like, we were together, we knew each other. It was like, it was not a thing. But we had other gay friends that were like, no, you don't do that. You don't use that word, and like that. And nowadays it's, queer has been kind of embraced, so it's like, I think that respect even changes over time, to kind of like accommodate where society is.
So inside of a relationship, though, if if someone knows you that well, they should know what your sarcasm is about.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then they should ask, is that sarcasm or are you trying to make it, or are you trying
That's what
to
I
Yeah.
flirt?
do.
Huh?
I
It,
do that. But even with Scott, still, I said, I think I should be offended by you saying that. Should I? I do. And I'll run to him like, oh my God, look what so and so just texted me. Should I be mad? Or what the hell does that mean? You know? And I don't think that I am emotionally challenged. I just think that it is impossible to know what everybody's filters are.
It
yeah.
is, yes. But if this is a true, serious relationship, then you probably already know that.
No, that's not true. Move closer to your mic though, Luann.
Oh, so sorry.
Scott and I have been married for 26 years or 27, I don't know, a lot. We've been married a lot. And I
We've been
still,
married a long time.
yeah, I still
Okay, how's
go,
that?
do you know that that's really mean what you just said? And he does that to me too. More so to me than me to him. He goes, that sounds really judgy. And I'm like, no, I'm not judging you. I'm just telling you I don't like that activity. And we have to have these conversations to explain our point of view.
Mhm.
Because just because you understand someone's filter doesn't mean that you can always accommodate their filter,
Right, right.
you know? Uh, I can't speak
So,
from the heart and always be um, picking the right words. Sometimes I just got to say, fuck you. That's all that's going to work for me. That's just it,
Sometimes
you know?
those are the right words.
Yeah, you know,
You
yeah.
know?
And I'm not trying to start a fight or whatever, it's just I've got an emotion that I need to get out, and that's the best way to get it out is those two words.
so what you're telling me, what I'm hearing you say
Oh
is,
shit, don't talk that psychobabble shit to me.
what I'm hearing you say is that even though you've had this long-term marriage, you still have to redefine things occasionally.
Yeah, because people change too. He's not the same person that he was 26 years ago, and neither am I. And sometimes he thinks I'm kidding, and I'm not. I really mean what I'm saying. And vice versa. So,
Am I
you know,
kidding? No.
I'm not kidding. I will kill you. I will shoot you in your face. No,
I will shoot you in the face with a bazooka. That's what I used to tell the kids.
a bazooka. You just wanted to blow their head off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So number two on this list is you trust one another and that trust is earned. I think the key in this statement that I found fascinating is that trust is earned because I think as a rule, humans give trust automatically, and then they're disappointed when people violate what they say that is their trust. Well, why did you give them that trust until you got to know them better and know their character better? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And I subscribe to the when they call it the rose-colored glasses theory. Okay, inside of dating, inside of relationships, is that you have these rose-colored glasses, and you're always looking through them. Okay, and your past events and past relationships and things that have happened, things that have been said, all go into those glasses, and that's how you see the world. You have a vision of the world that is a certain way, and then along comes a new relationship and something is triggered inside of you that's like, oh my gosh, wait a second, hold on, no, that happened before. I'm not going to go down that road again. And it's kind of unfair to put that vision on that new person. And so a lot of counseling says you have to take off the rose colored glasses to see what is so inside of the current relationship. You know, and so I think that you think that people are inherently trusting. I don't. I don't think people are inherently trusting. I think that they have to have that proof because they have so much, in the back of them. Taking the glasses off completely is not a reality because we're always going to have those things that happened in the past coming right up in front of us and like going, caution, caution, hello, caution, and so that affects trust.
Well, then let's go a step further and let me bring my private investigation experiences to the table. I'm not disagreeing with what you say. I think that there is now chapter two to what you just said. I think a lot of times people do get alarm bells, and I do think that they do get instincts and intuitions and ideas, and they ignore them. Something
Mm.
in that relationship satisfies them so much that they ignore them. It could be that it was great sex. It could be that they're buying them wonderful gifts and taking them out to eat and blah blah blah. They're getting something they want in that relationship at that moment, and they're ignoring those other things. And then 5, 10 years later, they're like, "That son of a bitch is cheating on me," or blah blah blah. And you're like, "Okay, did you not have a clue about that in the beginning?" Well, yes, you know. And so what are they, my question is that if they don't inherently trust and maybe or they do or they don't feel somewhat respected, what are they building their decision on for that relationship?
I know
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
many people who start a relationship, they have an idea of what a husband or a wife is supposed to be like based on their childhood.
Yeah.
And if they don't compare notes, then they don't know what the other person expects. In other words, I expected of a husband for them to take care of me, pay the bills, always have a job, la, la, la. I mean, those were my expectations because that's what I grew up with. My dad took care of everything. My mom just kind of hung out the home at the house and
She
slapped me
didn't do
around.
anything.
No,
She's
I'm
just a
kidding.
housewife.
But I think, and I always recommend this to people that tell me, oh, we're going to get married, blah, blah, blah. I say, okay, I want you to do this for me. You, talking to the guy, say, you write down everything that you believe a wife should be, at least 10 things, maybe 12. And I tell her, write down everything you think a husband should do or be. And then
Did
you
you
switch
do that?
paper.
Did you
Huh?
do that?
No, I didn't.
Well, hell no.
That's why I recommend it because then they need to switch the paper and look at what the other paper person has written and discuss it.
Well, later on, if
Because
we have time, I have a list of 10 questions that I came up with for some clients that are totally opposed to what most coaches and anyone else that works with people will tell you to do. I'm focused on the negative. And I'm like, answer the negative and then discuss it because I'm going to tell you what, that will get you to the core faster than anything. And we'll go over those later. I put it on the blog on deborahcolleenrose.com today. And if we get to, we'll go over it because it freaks people out when they read those things. But you know what? When they actually do the exercise, it is incredible the results that come out of that.
yep,
All right,
I have a
number
story
three.
kind of about
Oh, go ahead.
this as well because I mean it's similar because when you go to counseling or you go to like pre-marriage, whatever with your pastor or whomever, a lot of things are just not covered. They have kind of like a set list of things that they want to get through and that's it. When I was dating a woman,
Oh
when
my
I was dating,
God.
and I was engaged, I was ready to get married and everything else like that. And our first session with the pastor of the church that was going to be marrying us, looked at my fiance at the time, and he goes, "Hey, can you fart in front of Matt?" She's like, oh, no, 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 I could never do that. I could never do that. And he looked at me and he goes, Matt, can you fart in front of Kate? And I was like, yeah, yeah, probably.
I don't want you to though.
And the pastor looked at us both and was like, I'm not marrying you. And we're like, well, why?
the fart
And he
question.
goes, if you can't share something like that with your spouse, then you're not ready to be married. And that just floored me. It absolutely floored me. And I remember that to this day is like, can you fart comfortably in front of your spouse? So I mean, it's just like
Oh,
one of those things is like, okay, well, I trust you enough with this that you're not going to go, oh my God, his farts smell like pizza, so
okay, so Scott and I must have the perfect marriage because we will sit in the bathroom with each other and talk while the other one's on the pot. Oh my
I'm sorry,
God.
the pot for me is a sacred time. I mean, I will let that be known right up
Well,
front in
you're
a
not a
relationship.
woman. When you have dogs and children, they all follow you to the bathroom. You give up your privacy in your 20s with children.
A dog is one thing, okay? I mean, but like the person that you're with, like coming in and just having a casual conversation when you're pooped, no,
Oh, yeah. See, we communicate well, and that's number
no.
three on the list. Number three. Now, but you know what? So Matthew almost married a woman, and I was married to a gay man. And let me tell you something. Communication is only good if people don't lie. And that's the third thing on the list. And here's why I say that. Our first date, Richard's and my first date, we were both bounty hunters. And we were out doing bounty hunting together, picking up people and putting them in jail. He was really kind of butch to be gay. And maybe that's what I liked about him. But anyway, we were playing 20
It's that
questions.
amazing fashion sense.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He never flamed. He never flamed, until he took a gay lover in Florida, and then he started swishing. I have never seen a man go from boom to swish so fast in my life. But okay, I
No,
digress.
no,
Our
honestly, but
first
that's a
date,
role we play. Well, I mean, as a gay man, I can say that's a role we play.
what is it?
We
Okay,
have to
so
act straight sometimes, but then, when we have the freedom to be who we are, we switch. But lest I
but is
digress,
that
go
is that
ahead.
a learned behavior or is that just part of your nature? That's the thing that I've always wondered.
I think that I mean it's hard to tell. I mean because I'm very what they call cis masculine. So I present as not gay. I present as but I have those times that I'm just like yeah it's like it can come on at any time. But yeah, I have a lot of people that are surprised. They're like, "You're gay," you know.
Oh, I knew you were gay
Um,
when I met you, but you don't swish. But
well, but your gaydar is tuned. There's a lot of
oh,
people
it
that are
is,
just
man.
not.
I can spot them at 30 paces. Now,
Yeah,
but and same thing with mental health issues. Certain mental health issues, I can spot it a mile away. But so
I'm
anyway,
surprised you took me
in the
on as a
20
friend.
questions that we were playing on our first date, picking up people and putting them in handcuffs, not for fun. Okay. I asked him specifically, "Are you gay?" I mean, it's like I knew immediately. And he lied like a rug lying on the floor. No, I'm not gay. No, I'm not gay. And he insisted for 3.5 years he was not gay. A child later, while I am pregnant with his sperm, then he comes out of the closet. I mean, that was a hell of a time. You know? So communication only works because he was a great communicator and he had an excellent vocabulary. This man could debate. He was a gifted oracle. He was. Is that the right word? Oracle, ortation,
Orator.
orator. There you go.
Orator.
There you go. I'm from the South. We get our words mixed up.
It's
But
okay.
if you don't tell the truth, it doesn't give a damn what you say. It's got to be the truth. And that's number three on here. When the going gets tough, you find a way to communicate. And I would add to there, truthfully. You find a way to communicate truthfully and kindly.
Yeah, because um, I was told,
You were told what?
wait a minute, how can I put this? I'm just telling my mother what she wants to hear. And I said to myself, wow, I wonder if he's telling me what I want to hear.
Exactly.
Well, and I would probably add to that statement that it has to be authentic. I mean, you have to be authentic in your communication,
Mhm.
and fess up to the things that you fall short on, and so it's not just honesty. It's just, what, I'm feeling really abused right now, or I'm feeling really used right now, and have the courage to be able to say that to your partner, and be willing to come up with either the consequences or a compromise.
Yeah, but see,
Right.
you know what you just did? You just shifted from a tool that we can learn to a character issue. We can learn to communicate better, but being
I don't think
authentic,
that's a character issue. I think the people, we all struggle with being authentic. We all do. And so having being able to be authentic just means being able to be comfortable in your communication style.
you didn't know Billy Sheets then. I'm gonna tell you what, that little boy could lie. He'd lie about everything.
When the truth sounded better.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you. But I do, I think there's a lot of things involved in communication. Understanding who you're talking to, understanding what they can deal with, and how to present it so that they can deal with it. Um, Being true to yourself, and then reaching a point where, you can't take care of their emotions anymore because now you got to take care of your own. I mean, there's so many layers to peel back there, you know, and how do you make that decision? And how do you step out of your comfort zone? And the thing that frustrates me in my life is when people are not willing to have that hard conversation. They just rather put up with shit, or they'll just say, do it your way, I don't care. Or, like we're Burger King, have it your way. No, let's have it our way, not my way, not your way.
I think my problem is maybe that I don't know how to say let's talk about it without sounding like we need to talk. That always turns people off, I think.
Yeah.
So
So
what?
how
Let it turn them off.
so how do you say I need to discuss something or I mean, that's my problem. I can communicate it, but I don't do the communication according the other person will say, well, that's kind of out
Well,
of the
whenever
blue
you
or
use the word we, okay, it takes on the connotation that you did something wrong. Okay. So we need to have a conversation. Well, no, you don't need to do anything. Okay. If you put it inside of what I call an I statement, I really need to speak with you about something that's bothering me.
Mhm.
I mean, it takes, I mean, they know that there's something up, they know that something is bothering you, but it doesn't include them necessarily. It's like
Yeah.
you did something wrong. Okay. It could be anything.
It's just that when you
And
do
so,
that, it doesn't make me feel good.
I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, being authentic about it is like, I need this. You might not need it, but I need to talk about this.
I could
Yeah.
definitely tell you there's a comedian out there that you don't want to say it the way he says it. He says, "Let me tell you something about you that you don't know."
Mhm.
That doesn't work well. I can tell
No,
you that.
no. And I never want to point fingers, but I don't know how to say it any other way.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult to try to keep the communication in like here,
Yeah.
inside of who you are, because it's what's bothering you. And I think that, and I would like to make a request if we can, when we're talking about relationships, that we keep it like between couples, okay, and not mom, dad, first cousins, whatever.
Mhm.
It's just like with inside of couples. And I completely forgot where I was going with that, but I mean, I think that honestly, I mean, it's about knowing yourself and how what you need, okay, and trying to communicate what you need in a way that they can understand inside of their world. So, I mean, miscommunication is going to happen, but I think it's our responsibility to say, did you understand that? Can you grasp what I'm saying to you? And make sure that it's received.
Well,
Yeah,
one
I
of the
think
things,
that's where I
oh, go ahead,
fall
Lou.
down.
Go ahead, Luann.
I was going to say that's where I fall down. I don't say I need to talk about something bugging me.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I like to point out in conversations, and for myself and for the other person, is that I say, I ask myself was your intent to be mean to me? Was your intent to hurt my feelings? Was your intent to strike out at me verbally? And if the answer is no, then I back myself up. I back myself up on my energy, even if it hurt my feelings, even if it made me angry. However, I also ask my partner to do the same thing for me. Ask yourself first, am I really wanting to attack you? Am I wanting to hurt you? Am I wanting to just grind your face into the sidewalk? And if the answer is no, back it up
Right.
and ask me what it is that you're trying to achieve. And I do the same for them. I ask them, what is it that you really need from me? Or what is it that you want? You know?
So my question to you both is when do we establish those rules? I mean, when is it appropriate to establish those types of
Well, you're too
rules inside of a
stupid to do it
relationship?
when you're 20. I mean, you're just too stupid to do
Yeah.
that when you're 20. You don't know. I mean, I think it's a process that you grow into, and hopefully one of the two people in the relationship figure that out and they can present it to the other one and say, "Hey, wouldn't this be a good way for us to conduct ourselves?" You know?
Hmm.
And I think it's a process. And I think that's where a lot of relationships get cattywampus is one person may actually get that growth spurt emotionally, but they fail to communicate it to the other person. And then they fail to try to set goals and guidelines and boundaries and rules and stipulations and all that other stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because
Mhm.
um, I have a situation where it's a he said, she said. No, I didn't tell you that.
I
Well,
write everything
yeah,
down.
no, you didn't tell me that. You weren't explicit.
Yeah, but a lot of times that's a symptom of a narcissistic relationship.
Ah,
Because if they're grandstanding you with that kind of communication, okay, what they're doing is they're deflecting it back to you to make you the baddie,
mhm.
inside of that. And believe me, I've had narcissistic relationships, that I mean, it was that exactly. You never told me that. Okay. And it's impossible to like defend your position inside of narcissistic communication. It's just not going to work.
Well, sometimes I hate to defend people when we've gone that route, but I will say this in situations I've had with clients that it is a lack of having the same definition of words. I'll use a simple example. You said you'd spend more time with me. So we need to do this at least twice a week. That's not what I said. Yes, I said I would spend more time with you, but twice a week is too much for me. The person assumed when they said more time that they were going to get twice a week. The other person never assumed that. They were thinking, well, maybe we'll see each other here, there, whatever. So there's a lack and a break in the communication to define what they're stating and what they're committing to. That's a very oversimplified example, but I've seen it many, many times where a person says something and the other person will say, "Well, you said this." Well, yes, but that's not what that means. And they're not trying to, is it gaslight? Is it ghosting or
Hmm.
gaslighting?
Just
Okay.
like,
They're
Yes,
not gaslighting them. They just have a different perspective of what that statement meant as opposed to what the other person assumed.
but here's the thing, a narcissist will never go to the point where they will try to understand and they will follow up with the
Oh yeah,
communication that
no.
says, what does that mean? Does that mean twice a week, three times a week? What is your expectation? They'll be just like, nope, that's not what that means.
Oh, no, I get that. I'm just saying that a lot of time there's a break in communication because people don't get down to the specific details,
Yeah, that's very
you
true.
know?
That's very true.
So, I want you to watch a movie with me. Okay. How often? You know, being an
today.
investigator has made me better in my relationships because I've learned to ask more questions. You know, I do. What does that mean? What does that look like to you? How often is that? That type of
Right.
thing. But it also, I don't make people ask me those same questions. I just go ahead and volunteer that information. I want you to spend more time with me. I don't want you to give up your video game, but I need 2 hours on Saturday afternoon. That's mine.
Yeah.
That's just mine, and I get very specific. But I'm flexible. So if Saturday gets fucked up because you're working or blah, 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 or I'm not working, then we'll reschedule it for Sunday. So flexibility plays into that as well. You can't have
For
hardcore
sure.
rules dealing with people's lives and things like that. Flexibility is
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. I mean, because I mean that I would follow that statement up with, does that work for you?
Well,
That's just
they
how I
they're
am, you know.
usually pretty good at telling me that that doesn't work with them. I don't get a chance to
Yeah.
ask
Well,
them.
but inside of, I mean, like I've had narcissistic relationships, and even like doing specific things like that is they'll find a way to wiggle out of it. Well, what movie?
Hmm.
That's weird. It's just weird. God, that's weird.
What movie?
This is the one that I hate, number four on this list, because I think that it causes more harm than good sometimes. And it's you agree to disagree. Well, it
Um,
depends. It depends. What are we talking about? How many children we're going to have? You know, what religion we're going to practice as a family, or is that important? I mean, there are just some things that are not negotiable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think we should be monogamous. Well, I think we should be polyamorous. Well, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. No.
No. That didn't
No.
work.
You know, that was where Richard and our relationship fell apart. Him being gay was not the issue. Him being gay and wanting to have boyfriends and me not having anybody else in my life is where we got sidetracked. You know?
That doesn't seem right.
Well, you think?
I mean, I honestly believe that there are situations that you know, and you have to be mature about it, you know, when you agree to disagree. Okay. And you have to ask yourself, can I live with this? You know,
Yeah.
can I live with the disagreement? If you can't live with the disagreement, then that's another communication issue altogether.
Yep.
You
And
know,
it could be a
I,
deal
I,
breaker.
I yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, I have people that, you know, when I reveal that, you know, I'm a doctor of metaphysics, you know, they instantly cut off communication just because that's a deal breaker, you know. But I've had one person that, you know, that I was, well, he says, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. And I was like, well, then we can't have a relationship.
Wait,
I
does
was
he
like,
disagree that
because
you're a doctor of metaphysics, or he just thinks metaphysics is not acceptable?
doctor of metaphysics, that he thought that I was so ingrained in metaphysics that I could never see his position as a born again Christian.
Well, I just love that because my next question would be, do you even know what metaphysics, how to define that word? What does that really mean? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what gets me. Again, it goes back to those filters and and your understanding of the English language or whatever language you're speaking, the
Yeah.
definitions. So, all right. You can also forgive each other. What's forgivable? What's not forgivable? I used to think
Yeah.
a lot of things were not forgivable. I have realized that I am actually a pretty forgiving person. And I don't know. I don't think there's any um, black and white on that. I think it's all based upon the circumstances.
Well, and I had a teacher one time, and I'd like both of your opinions on this. I had a teacher one time that says you cannot talk about forgiveness without talking about forgetting, because you know, forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's that you're able to exist with that being in place. You know, we're human beings. We have a memory. You know, but how do we treat those memories? You know, and so you can't talk about forgiveness unless you talk about forgetting, or, you know, being able to handle it.
So let me make sure I understood what you just said. So she says that if you actually forgive someone, you will forget what happened, like it never
No,
I don't
happened.
no,
I
no.
don't think
You
that's
have to be
true.
able and willing to be able to live with that memory and be okay with it, instead of bringing it up every single time it happens
Well,
or
I do agree
they
with
think
that.
about it.
If you keep bringing it up every time it happens, you haven't
Yeah.
forgiven.
Exactly. So you
Yeah.
can't talk about forgiveness without talking about memory, or, you know,
However, the other side of that coin is that if you see them going down a slippery slope, you can say,
hmm,
hey, you know what? This has really got me thinking, not worried, thinking, because this was like step two of a situation that got us to here. And I'm a little concerned that maybe you're back on that path. Are you okay? Are we okay? Are you aware of this? This is what it looks like to me. I'm needing some reassurance because that's a little scary. You know, again, it goes back to that open communication.
I think all the way around, it has to be open communication, you
Yeah.
know?
Now, this one I thought was kind of silly at first, and then I kind of got it, and then I thought it was silly again. So I kind of go back and forth. It says you're both committed to the relationship. Well, I'm not going to do all this other crap that we've been talking about if I'm not committed to the relationship, because that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
We're talking about a lot of work here. This is not something that's like falling off a bicycle. You just do it. You know, you have to put a lot of thought into it. There's a lot of dedication. There's a lot of holding yourself accountable before you move into holding the other person accountable in a conversation. Um, so I can't even imagine that even, being up for discussion. If you're not committed, get the hell out.
But here's the thing. I mean, commitment, and I know this for monogamous relationships, commitment means I will only be with you. But I have friends that are in relationships that are committed relationships, and they are in that with other people,
Oh, I don't
multiple
take it that
partners.
way. Just to be clear, I don't take it that way. To me, a committed relationship says I'm going to give you the best that I have based upon the
Mm.
terms of our relationship, and I'm always going to do that for you. So I could see being in a committed attitude, a committed idea, even in a polyamorous relationship. You're not going to just give them part of you and
Part of the
say, well,
time.
you just deal with it. You just deal with the rest.
Well, so do you think that there's like the availability to have different levels of commitment? I mean, especially, I mean, in polyamorous relationships?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you have to negotiate it. I think you communicate it. You sit down. It's very much like I'll use BDSM community because I've never been in a polyamorous relationship, but I've been in a BDSM relationship. You have a contract and it says
Yeah.
specifically, these are your duties. These are your obligations. These are your commitments. These are your duties. These are your obligations. These are your commitments. And here's how we hold each other accountable. It's called a safe word, you know, and you go back and refer to that if you think someone has violated that. And I think okay, if anybody's actually watching this, that some people might freak out. I think some of the BDSM relationships out there are some of the healthiest I've seen.
Well,
Well,
I
there's
think so too.
rules.
I mean, I agree. Sorry, Lorraine, what were you saying?
I was saying there's rules set up between
Mhm.
the two people on what each one expects.
There's rules, there's expectations, there's
Yep.
guidelines, there's safety nets. And the bottom line is they tell you if you break your toys, you don't get to play anymore. So everybody's very conscientious about taking care of the other person in the relationship. There's a lot of practicality there. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't have any normal relationships right now, but
yeah, let's
I
talk
think
about that.
So all
no,
your
no,
relations are abnormal.
yeah. Um, uh, I think
Let's not talk
that,
about the unicorn, okay?
or the elephant in the room, whatever it
Or the
is.
elephant in the room.
So, it's about you, they, the, uh, the people, the men, the men I've been seeing. There's no, there's no like, well, I'm going to take care of you, or I'm going to respect you, or I mean, none of that comes up. So you
Yeah,
have
but
to demand a certain way.
But is that the man's responsibility to do that, or is it your responsibility to say this is my expectation?
A little of both, because I think that men should uh, say what they're willing to do, and it's like they don't say anything about whether they're willing to be a. Oh, go ahead.
no, the way you said that sounds really harsh towards you. And I wanted to specify something. You don't have those expectations of those particular relationships. There's the difference. It's not
Yeah.
like you're in these relationships hoping, praying that they're going to become the
Mm-mm.
what you see as the ideal relationship.
No,
So the
because it doesn't start that way.
question, yeah, so the question on the table is, do they satisfy a specific need? And has that need been clarified on both parties' parts? And are you disappointed in them? And are you settling? Those are the questions on the table.
Disappointed, yes. Settling, yes. But
It's tough to have those conversations, you know. I mean, and when I brought the conversation up about the one guy I was seeing, that he couldn't get past that I was, metaphysical, that I did psychic fairs and everything else like that because he was born again Christian, you know.
But
And
he's
I'm like,
gay.
I'm not going to try to argue this with you because I mean, I can get along with born again Christians. I say, and some of my best friends are born again Christians, you know.
That's interesting to me to be born again a Christian and be gay. So he's able to see perfection outside of what we would normally call perfection in a Christian world, but yet he can't include you in that vision. That's kind of interesting to me.
And that's why I saw it never working, you know.
All right.
I mean, he would inside of metaphysics. I mean, I think people have a conception. I was like, ooh, it's this kind of stuff. It's it's the spell casting and it's the tarot reading and it's like, all of that oogity boogity, And I have to tell him, I was like, no, no, it's not all that. And I was like, yeah, I am a witch. Yeah, I do practice, but that doesn't mean that you have to. I mean, I would completely and totally say, hey, you're going to church on Sunday? Great. You're celebrating Christmas? Great. You think that I need to be baptized? Not so much.
Well, and you know what's interesting? And then I'm coming back to you, Luann, because I got something to say. Um, What's interesting to me is I had a pagan that I was dating in my earlier years that broke up with me because I was Christian. So, that attitude is not indicative of just like one group of people. It's part of a person's personality, regardless of what they're focused in. So here's my comment. When I got through my first divorce, I was a huge whore doggy, big slut puppy. Okay. And I have women tell me all the time, oh, don't slut shame yourself. And I've said, I'm not slut shaming myself. I'm bragging. But, um, I saw it as a huge growth period emotionally.
Mhm.
Now, my comment or question or both for you, Lou, is it possible? Because I think you're disappointed in yourself sometimes. But is it just possible you're going through a growth period because you missed out on some of it? And sometimes where we are in our maturity level intellectually is not where we are emotionally and
Mhm.
physically
Mhm.
because of the experiences we have or don't have. And you were in, how long were you in a marriage? 30 years
25.
with both of them total?
25.
Yeah. I mean, that's a long time. That's a long time. And you missed out on a lot of opportunities because you were isolated. Because you weren't in the ideal relationship with your marriage either, correct? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, I would say after 10 years, no, we weren't. And um, I tried to communicate that, but I didn't do a good job of communicating.
So,
Well, that communication is not all on you, Luann. That
no,
communication is not on you.
no, it's not. So, the thing is that I just think you're kind of hard on yourself. And if you're not being too hard on yourself, then that is also a growth cycle. Because I couldn't think of the word, damn it. It's a growth cycle, and it's just motivating you to now look at doing something differently. And I have seen in the past 3 years you doing a lot of things differently, a
Yeah,
lot
I
of things,
have. And I
you know.
think I have a lot different attitude. There was someone that told me, you're emotionally immature.
Who told you that?
I don't know who dared tell me that. And I went, what do you mean? She goes, what do you do when your kids throw a fit in the grocery store? I said, I walk over them and leave them behind. She goes,
But here's the thing, you have a lifestyle, to be frank, that a lot of women in our age group, our generation, was like, oh God, I wish I was doing that. Oh, that would be so
well,
incredible.
it's not always uplifting.
Oh
I
no.
mean, you know, um, there's no deep thought in anything. There's no uh, embracing. There's no, I mean, it's just
But when you get ready for a change, you'll change it because that's who you become.
somebody asked me, he said to me, if someone serious comes along, just tell me and I'll bug off or whatever he said. And, and I said, I don't think I want that. And the minute it came out of my mouth, I went,
Yeah, that was pretty telling, wasn't it? You
Hmm.
like your freedom. You
I do,
like your freedom. You
I
do.
do. I just need a little more intimacy with with someone.
Luann, I think I'm right there with you. I mean, it's just like I'm okay being alone. I'm okay doing my own thing. But yeah, it would be a great thing to have some, intimacy, someone
Hmm.
that is, like-minded, someone who is like right there with me in thought process, in energy.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I'm right there with you.
I don't think I knew what intimacy was for many years, which is why I was married 5 times. And
Well, it's much more than sex.
Mhm.
oh, absolutely. It has nothing to do with sex whatsoever.
No.
I mean, my God, there's too many things out there that you can do for sex nowadays that don't even involve another person. They're just as satisfying. I'm sorry, it's true. What was interesting, I was doing some thought at the lake when we were at the lake a couple weekends ago and doing some evaluation and things. And it occurred to me that even though Scott's 12 years younger than I am, we kind of grew up together emotionally because even though I had so much more practical experience being married before, the mother of 2 children, and things of that nature, I realized that I was really stultified a lot of ways as far as not having them. I had emotions, but I didn't know how to process them safely to where it didn't hurt other people or myself. And um, I was in the process of learning that with my second husband, and then he died. And that just kind of set me back even further, going through that grief at 24. Oh, I got a feedback all of a sudden. So that was weird. It stopped. But anyway, so we have kind of grown up together in a lot of ways emotionally. And so that intimacy has been so very special to me. And otherwise, I don't think I would have made it through my fifth marriage either. If I hadn't had someone to kind of, and I'd move ahead and I'd get stuck, and then he'd move ahead and he'd get stuck. So it's kind of just been, we've been dragging each other, kicking and screaming along the way sometimes. That's what it boils down to.
So, what's next on the list?
Oh my
I'm sorry,
gosh.
I'm ready to move on.
You're kind to each other. To me, that's just a given. I mean, my God, you should be kind to everybody. Um, that's shocking to me that it's on the list.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, is there anything to really say about that? Seriously, if you're an asshole, quit being an asshole. If you don't know what kindness looks like, look it up. You know, surely there's a YouTube video out there they can watch.
Yeah, but can kindness be taught?
Yes, I think it can be learned. Absolutely. But again, you have to want to, and so many people don't want to.
Mhm.
You enjoy each other's company and support each other's goals. I think that support is the key component in that statement. You wouldn't be with each other, I would assume, if you didn't enjoy something about each other. And hopefully it's more than sex because that will have its ups and downs, no pun
That will
intended.
fade too as you
Yeah.
age.
Well, I had a
Ah,
boyfriend that broke up with me because I was too supportive, that I was too involved in wanting to help them, better themselves and, go forward in their life. And they just thought that I was being completely and totally fake.
what?
And so they're like, yeah. So they're like, no, I can't do this. And I don't know what happened to them in the past. I don't know what the thought process was behind it, but I mean, they broke it off with me because they thought that I was being way too supportive.
Now, see, if
And
they were committed, though, if they were committed,
Deborah, I'm going to give you a little backstory here. It's someone you know.
oh shit, never mind. I
So
know who it
now,
is.
yeah, if that gives you a little bit of like, okay, why did this happen? Yeah,
I know
that's
why
it
it happened because
happens.
they're a nut. They're an absolute nut. They don't have
Well,
any idea what reality is or what healthy looks like in any form or fashion. Goodbye, nurse. Okay. Um, but I've heard a lot of people break up for stupid reasons, and it goes back to that other one. If you're actually in a committed relationship, you're going to make an effort to work through some of this, you
mhm.
know?
Sometimes I
And
think
then,
that people stop, like all of a sudden don't want to see you because they're afraid that they're either getting feelings they don't want or you are.
yeah, but why don't they want it? That's the key. Why don't they want it? What did they go into the relationship intending to begin with? That makes me think that they're predatory
Or superficial.
or stupid. Or they think with their penis. Uh,
Or with a wallet.
but I'm not judging. You're good at making decisions together. That to me is a Pandora's box sometimes.
Well, I mean, I guess I had to say we need to back up and say, well, why is this decision being presented? Why is it here? And if we're going to look at why we're making the decision together, we have to understand that I might have an opinion on it that doesn't match yours. How do you get past that? How do you make decisions from 2 points of view?
Well, and not even two points of view. What if the other person's better at something than you are? What if they're better with budgets? What if they're better with figures? What if they're better with architectural design and they can see how that piece of furniture is not going to fit in the fucking living room? It's too big, and stuff like that. So I think that there has to be an understanding that if certain people in the relationship have certain talents, you let them do what they're best at.
Yeah. Well, I realized in some of my relationships that I had to like let go and not control it. Okay. There are things that I'm wonderful at, and there's things that I am not. I just am not. Like planning a monthly budget of like what food comes into the house, forget it. It's like I'll prepare something, but it's like pizza sounds better.
So
So I'm just not good. I'm not good at that. And so I had to like give up control a lot of times just to say, you know what? You're better at this.
Well, see, I'm good at that, but here's what I do. I do the grocery list, okay, just to simplify things. And then I go and I say, okay, this is what I'm planning in general. Is there anything you want next week? Do you need any special snacks? Are you hungry for something? So yeah, I'm not saying that you shouldn't ask the other person's ideas or opinion, you
Right.
know. Like, this is the couch I'm going to buy. Do you want it in blue or red? You get an option, but this is the couch, So those type
Yeah.
of
But I
things.
mean, I mean, it's to the point where it's like, if that person goes out and buys asparagus, okay, and you don't like asparagus, the problem now becomes, okay, well, you don't get to have a choice. If you gave up that control and said you do it, you don't
I
have the
don't,
right to say, you know what, I don't want asparagus.
Or
I
they
don't,
could cook it themselves and eat it all by themselves.
No.
But when you're in even the relationship that I'm in, which is uh, with my son, we always ask each other, I'm making a grocery list. Do you want something?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's common courtesy when you're sharing a space with someone, whether you're, you know,
Courtesy. See, and that was not on the list anywhere. Courtesy, common
kindness.
decency and
It's a part
courtesy.
of kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with Luann. I think it's part of kindness.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. The last thing on the list is you don't dodge difficulty. I never dodge difficulty.
I will say one thing about myself as far as like dodging difficulty. I'm one of those people that are more calculated. And so I have to dissect what I'm going to do or how I'm going to communicate it before I even approach it. And so I might take a little longer in the response time um, inside of a difficult situation.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a rule in our house. It's like I like to handle things immediately, and I think very quickly on my feet when I'm under stress, and something's bothering me. Scott is like you more, Matthew. He likes to think about things and ponder them and break them down. So one of the difficulties when we first got together was he goes, I don't want to talk about that right now. Well, what I heard is we're never going to talk about that. And that would set my ass on fire.
Yeah.
So over the years, we decided here was the proper approach for both of us. He needs time to think about it, but he will give me a time frame that he needs to think about it, and then we come together and we talk about it. Is that a perfect solution for either one of us? No, but I at least know I can sit down and count the minutes till it's time, and it takes pressure off him so he can think clearly. So,
One of the things that always like got my goat, when I was in a relationship was we'll see.
oh, I hate that.
Well, that's what I told my kids. We'll see. I didn't
That
tell
We'll
always
see.
meant
them.
no in our house. That always meant no in
Exactly.
our house. You know,
So that means no. So that means
yeah.
no. Why don't you just say
So
no?
just, yeah, just have the balls to say no. What the hell? Just say no. You're the adult. Say no.
We'll see. I think I'm gonna put
Exactly.
that on. I think I'm just gonna put that on a t-shirt. We'll see.
Oh no. I have one that says bleh. All the kids in school say bleh, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And they're like bleh. So I
Mhm.
when I went on vacation with my granddaughter, I got a shirt that in crystals, it's beautiful little crystals that says bleh. She thought that was hilarious.
Bleh.
So,
Well, most of the time when I said we'll see to my kids, it was about depends on the budget, depends on the day, depends on so it wasn't a total no for me.
why didn't you just say I'll do my best? That would have been so much more uplifting. I will try and do my best.
Well, I used to tell them, now that's not no, that depends on what's going on.
I don't
If
know,
I
but
had
that
heard
opens.
that
I mean,
once,
that kind of opens Luann up to judgment. It's just like, well, mom's just being a bitch, you know. I,
I heard that once or
I would much
twice and they
I
got
would
their
much
mouth
rather
washed
like
out.
be able to look at the kid and say, you know what, that's not in the budget right now, so no.
yeah. Or just, I'm going to tell you what, I often wondered, if I had heard as a child, you know what, I would love for you to have that and I will do my best. I think my whole demeanor would have been totally different the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I spent my life kind of growing up with trying to prove. Okay. It's like because my parents wouldn't say that kind of thing to me, Deborah. It was more like, well, why do you think you deserve that?
We're not going there right now, okay? We're
That's
not
a whole
going
other
there
podcast.
right now. Mm, mm, mm,
Mm.
mm, mm, mm. No, not doing that right
Well, I
now.
would have known what to say because I'm spoiled. You spoiled me. And now I want it.
Well, you know what my answer was when I was asked that? Because I'm a Rose, damn it. Because that was the whole Rose attitude. They were,
Uh-huh.
talk about growing up with this idea of entitlement. The Rose men were entitled. The women were not because we were women. And that you want to know what formed my attitude? That's what formed my attitude, proving that by
Well,
God, being a woman was not a detriment.
okay, okay. So, I mean, I guess, like I said, when I grew up, it wasn't that, why did you deserve that? So there was a sense of like, why, what's worthy about you to, to get that, to receive that. But I've also had a situation where I was in a relationship that the person wanted to do everything. I mean, everything. It was like, here, I'm gonna buy you clothing. Here, we're gonna fly to Vegas to have steak dinner tonight and then fly back. We're gonna be doing blah 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 blah
Please give
blah.
him my number.
And well, I mean, I mean, he was amazing. He really was. But he literally told me, like one night, he's like, honestly, I don't want you to work. I just want you to be here for me. And
You
I
were
couldn't
you
do
were
it.
younger
I
though,
I, just,
right?
I
Much
couldn't do
younger.
it.
Now that would be difficult. Okay, so all right, you want to hear a weird story on what made me feel accepted in this world? I was dating my second husband, and we dated on and off for a long time because he was an addict and he had addiction problems, and so we would have these great times, and then he would fall off into his addiction, and I literally moved twice to hide from him, okay, because I did not want to be a part of that world of addiction. And he was one of the most loving, kindest, most spiritual people I knew when he was sober. And I don't know, he got me. He was the first person I ever met in my life that got me. And I was a raving maniac in my 20s. I was full of rage and animosity in a lot of ways, but I was kind and loving until you pissed me off. And he had to go, he was a bounty hunter and a bail bondsman, and he was out doing a bail bond thing, and he'd canceled our date. And I'm out running the streets going to bars, and I see his car at a bar. I'm like, what the hell? He told me he was out bounty hunting. Why is he there? So I pulled up in the parking lot, and it was just like the Carrie Underwood song. I took my Louisville Slugger to all four headlights, and I'm out there beating the shit out of his Cadillac. And he comes out, and I'm like, okay, and he's a big guy. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hold on to this bat because I don't know what he's gonna do. And he just stood there and leaned up against the wall and laughed. He goes, "There's my baby," and she's upset. And he goes, "Come here, girl. Come here. I'm gonna make you feel better. I'm sorry you're upset." That changed my whole life. My whole
Mm.
life, you know. And everything I did, no matter what I did, just tickled the shit out of him unless he thought I was in danger. So I could do no wrong in his eyes. So
I love that. So, I, if I have one thing to say about this, and this is what I want. So I can't say this for everybody, but this is what I want. I want someone who is into me as much as I am into them.
yeah,
That's exactly what I want,
exactly.
because inside of that it encompasses this entire list. You know, I've had a lot of one-sided relationships where I am more into that person than they are into me. So I just want that flow. I want someone who is into me as much as I am into them.
And they don't have to like everything about me. They just have
Oh
to
no,
accept it. They have to
yeah,
accept it and understand it and if they see that there's pain, they want to help heal it, but they don't have to agree with everything. Does that make sense?
makes total sense.
You know? Let me beat the shit out of that car until I'm done, and then we'll pay to get it fixed. What do you mean his car was his mother's car? All right, Luann, what are your closing thoughts on this?
Relationships are hard. You have to want one really bad to work on it. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for somebody who just wants to be casual. And I just I think that I don't want my thoughts, opinions to be dismissed,
Hmm.
regardless of if it's serious or not serious.
What about you, Matthew?
I think I just said exactly what I need. I mean, if that's a closing thought, if I do anything, it's like I want someone who's going to be into me as much as I'm into them, you know? Inside of the gay community, I mean, it's honestly very difficult to find someone like that because we have such a disparity, of, you know, the populace. You have people that will look down on you because you have HIV. There's people that look down on you because you're too masculine. The people look down on you because of your age you know I had someone the other day tell me, well, I mean, they were 49, I'm 53, okay, and they're just like, you're way too old for me.
What?
I'm like, you're 49, bitch. I'm I was like, next year you're gonna be a half century old, okay? So, but then I have guys that are like, in their 20s, like 25 or 30, that they want an older man because they're tired of all the shit that all these other guys are doing. So, I
Mm.
mean, to me, I mean, it's hazardous to be a gay man in the dating world these days.
I just think it's hard to date anytime. And you might, and that was one of the things I wanted to talk to, but we ran out of time. It's like, it seems like the younger generation doesn't date anymore. They have other things that they do with the hookups and the apps and the group dating. And it's like,
That's made
so
up.
yeah. So if a relationship is hard work and you have to really dig to get to know someone, how do they even get to know someone? And and know that they want to get married. But, we weren't that much brighter when we were in our 20s. So I'm not criticizing. I'm just a little, at least going to bars was fun. We had fun dating at least. I love going to the bars and stuff like that.
Luann, you and I need to have a date, okay? We just need to go out and we need to have some fun, okay? I'm just saying that. We're gonna leave Deborah behind because she's married. We need to
Can
find
I
something for
go?
us.
I'm a great wing woman. I'm a great wing woman. I'll drag people to the table.
Absolutely.
Well, one of the most fun times I ever had was when I went out with a whole group of people from work and I danced with the one gay guy that was there. And he and I had a really good time
Let's
because
get
there was no
I
pressure.
love gay bars. They're so much fun. The only time I don't
Oh
have
yeah.
a good time is lesbian bars because nobody will dance with me at a lesbian bar. I'm cute. Why aren't they asking me to dance?
What's really funny? What's really funny? The guys in Dallas that are like just like they don't want the bar scene. They'll go to Sue Ellen's. They'll go to the
Do
lesbian
they
bar
really?
and hang out there. It's so strange.
I'm going to tell you right now, look at this face. And if you look hard. If you ever see me at Sue Ellen's, you better ask me to dance, damn it.
I'm sorry, vagina have teeth. I can't.
Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. All right, I'm done. Because I'm fixing to get in a bad You don't want to see where I'm going to go with that. All right, Luann, darling, precious, sweet baby girl, tell them how to find you.
Luann, Luann, right there on the screen at Ancient Herbal Apothecary. And you can see my products at the website, ancientherbalapothecary.com.
So let me make a suggestion. I'm trying to get us more, not professional, but yes, kind of. On your name, go into Zoom and change it and either put like your email address there or your website there so people can see it during the podcast.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, do that, damn it.
You want me to change it here?
Where you change it inside of
Zoom.
Zoom.
You go on
Yeah,
Okay,
Zoom,
you can change it.
okay?
So not right
And I'll
now.
I'll
The
do the
next the
same.
next one.
I can
Yeah,
do that.
yeah. All right, Dr.
That's a great
Pierre,
idea.
Mr. Metaphysics.
The guy that thinks, yeah, okay. But you can reach me at matthewapierce.com. That's my personal website. And you can reach me at matthewapierce.com as well. You can also visit metaphysicalevents.com. And again, website and email is matthew@metaphysicalevents.com.
And Danny, I know it was you that Matthew was talking about, and I'm calling you out because you bug everybody. So just know I got your number.
I wasn't going to mention a name.
Well, I didn't say the last name. I could have.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay, there's more than one Danny.
Well, and let me tell you though, the one that I'm talking about, I have history with him. My daughter has history with him. He's just a
I
pain in the
know,
butt.
I know.
All right, I'm Deborah Colleen Rose, your hostess with the mostest at Miles of Smiles events. And yes, we're fortune tellers and so much more. And we have a lot of common sense, even though we may not exhibit it here at this podcast. And if you need information for your legal problems, Investigative Solutions Group, isgu.com, and Deborah Colleen Rose. And I'm a rough talking little woman, but I'm really good at communications and spiritual coaching. DeborahColleenRose.com. We will see you next week, and we're talking again. Watch out. See
I
y'all
know.
later.
Bye bye.
Bye.